More than 15 years ago, during my mother's last few years at the lake, she could not get out on the water very much. We wanted to get her out a bit, so we planned a little cruise. Exactly how, I don't know, but we wound up in Poplar Bay. That was a bit farther than we planned, and we actually had to stop at a friend's camp and borrow some gas to get all the way home. Poplar Bay is barely part of Lake of the Woods with a very narrow entryway, so it might as well be a separate lake. It's ringed with camps, or what one might more accurately call vacation homes. It was interesting enough to entice us back into Catherine B. Although island property sells easily, most people prefer road access, which is what there is to Poplar Bay. I looked at Google Earth to see the roads that serve the area. It looks like these reach a good portion of the southern portion of the northern peninsula. They take off from Mackenzie Portage Road down through Poplar Bay and spread out all over from there. From the number of camps we saw on our trips to the northern peninsula, you would think they had a superhighway over there. We are just into September for this cruise. Already the sun is lower in the sky, and you see as we pull away that the main cabin is completely in shade. It was also Labor Day, which meant more boats on the lake. This cubby is in the large bay on Scotty. We saw a similar type of sociability on the docks when we worked at Northern Harbor. For many, boating is the equivalent of tailgating at a football game. We headed out around Finch's Point on Scotty. This is our normal route to town, except today we made a left turn at the point. We went west past Camp Stevens. The Winnipeg YMCA has run a camp on this location since 1894. That's a few years before I arrived on the scene. There are several stories I could tell about Camp Stevens. The picture shows that it's a going concern, and the picture does not lie. At this point, I was able to use the more detailed chart showing the lake around the Kenora area. We crossed the Manitou and threaded our way through some small islands, past the entrance to the back channel, and onto the passage into Poplar Bay. That's a red buoy you see, and since we're going upstream, we still had to keep it on our left. It seemed like that left little room for the Catherine B, but we squeezed through. Another narrow spot with a buoy you can't see. The first mate kept asking, "Are you sure there's enough water?" I would gulp and say, "No problem, it's on the channel." We are finally in the last channel into Poplar Bay. That dot you might be able to see ahead is another buoy that we had to navigate around. We did a big circle around the shore of the bay, looking at one huge vacation home after another. There must be money in Winnipeg. We are starting our way back out in this picture. The channel is narrow enough that the fishing boats had to back up out of our way. We kept the red buoys on the right on the way back out, and we were soon back on the Manitou. Going home, instead of retracing our route, we decided to continue down the Manitou until we reached Douglas Point on Scotty. That means we completely circled Scotty on this trip. At this point in our cruising, we could say we had separately circled all three, Scotty, Middle, and Hay.